Hello and welcome to Simply Technical. Evan here, joined again by Keaton. Wrong side. I always do the wrong side.
No.
This is, I think I titled this episode 13, but I actually think it's episode 14. And we're here again. And actually, Keaton, I think we're going to talk about TikTok. That's kind of been a hot topic here in the last week.
Yeah. I mean, we hit on this at the beginning of the year, but it's come back a lot in the last couple weeks.
Yeah, well, they're in front of Congress, right? I say they. The CEO of, is it of TikTok or Cyber Bytes?
Of TikTok.
Okay.
ByteDance is the parent
ByteDance,
company,
that's what it's called.
but he's the CEO of TikTok.
Yeah. Mr. Chu, Singaporean gentleman. Did you say he went to Harvard? I think we talked about
Harvard Business School, and then worked at Facebook for a little bit, and then I think he and several other people started TikTok.
Okay. He went to their algorithm and everything, yeah.
He learned the ways of the data stealing.
You got to learn young. So we kind of want to talk about it getting banned or not, and then maybe move into some funny things that have happened in front of Congress, and then some more serious things. But it should be kind of a shorter episode, at least aim for that. We don't always get that when we think that, but
yeah,
sometimes the conversation just flows. And there's sometimes I'm talking and I'm sure everybody wishes the episode would end, but
same.
So TikTok was in front of Congress and they're labeling it the most bipartisan committee that has ever happened. Congress has labeled themselves, the committee has labeled themselves that. Bipartisan meaning both parties kind of agreeing on it. So do you think it's going to be banned, Keaton?
Well, if you go back just a couple months ago when we first talked about this, I said I think it should be banned, but it can't be because it'll be too politically unpopular. And I think I've changed my mind now because of this whole bipartisanship thing. I thought one group or the other would end up defending TikTok. I thought maybe on the Democratic side they would do it because their voter base tends to be younger, which tends to be more Democratic voters, and I thought on the Republican side it could be like a freedom thing. And I figured whoever made the initial stance to ban it, the other would automatically jump to be the opposite side. It didn't matter who it was, but that was what I thought was gonna happen. And I think I'm wrong. I think it's actually going to get banned now. I think it poses a bit of a security threat, and then I also think that it's just a really great boogeyman for us to tackle and to have sort of a common enemy. And I guess China and Russia have kind of become the common enemies, but to have something really tangible that everyone can latch onto and tack like TikTok, I think it makes it a perfect candidate to get banned and be some sort of accomplishment, I guess, to the political apparatus.
Yeah, and I think we're kind of in agreement that it's going to be banned. Keaton, how can they ban this? They're taking away my freedom. I'm sure that's very, maybe, I mean, obviously they're probably not going to be asking you, but the, local congressman, why are you in favor of banning TikTok? Well, the root or the origin, I guess, of government from our founding fathers was to protect, the government was supposed to protect the citizens from overreaching private entities. And the thing that comes to my mind of an example of that is just a government like EPA. EPA is in there to protect us as citizens from private companies or entities destroying our water, destroying, polluting in the air, and protecting us from those different issues that can arise from doing those things. Poisoning water or derailing a train because you weren't following the safety and you damaged an entire community. So that's kind of the role, the origin of government. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Keaton?
No, yeah, I agree. I think that's the exact case you make when you say, "Oh, they're taking away my freedoms." No, you don't have any sort of freedom to some social media app. I think, I mean, I guess it's a little bit more complex than that because there is the argument that the social media apps have been are sort of the new town square for public conversation, but I don't think you have any rights to a foreign social media app, and especially one that poses a supposed security threat like TikTok does. And I mean, that's the number one purpose of a government, is to protect, like you said, to protect the people.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, the easiest one to think of is EPA, in that because that's all they do is regulate regulate different private entities to protect us from getting poisoned from private companies trying to save a dollar by dumping their radioactive material into the water supply.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first thing that I think of when I think of government trying to protect us. Now, granted, those can still overstep. The
Yes,
government can still
definitely.
overstep and extend past their cause or their duty. So, but I think, yeah, like Keaton said, it is a little foggy in the fact that could it be your free speech that they're limiting because your how am I trying to say this? Are they limiting your free speech by banning the app?
Yeah.
Now, granted, I guess if it was the only one, if they banned all social media across the board, that could be something to be discussed. But as far as one specific one that is China is, I guess, controlling, it's not proven, at least to my knowledge, that China controls TikTok, but they definitely have a very powerful hand in it.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're getting into later is that he denies, Mr. Chu, the CEO of TikTok, denies that the Chinese government has influenced any of their decisions. I say decisions, that they're not spying on them or telling them, but it could be the government through another, it could be a white lie. It could be the Chinese government through another company telling TikTok this is how it's going to be. So it's not officially.
Yeah, he
the
dances
Chinese
around.
government.
Yeah, he always dances around the question of, is there a CCP influence on this company? But also, let's not just talk about. I mean, I think the government is coming at this from a like data breaching and spying standpoint, but what about also the safety of the minds of the American people and the potential pollutant that TikTok and some of these things have become on, especially on younger people, where everything is super negative or super negative generally is kind of the worst case scenario, but also just ridiculous stuff. Whereas the Chinese version supposedly is all STEM, kind of like what we talked about back in January. The Chinese version is all STEM stuff, where the kids are seeing inspirational space, medical, those type of advances where they aspire to be, astronauts or physicists and medical doctors. Whereas we're seeing like this garbage, this like
Them dancing.
Candy of dancing and a lot of negative sort of feedback loops. And there's like a lot of literature on this social media craze and how it's affected young people's mental state and the amount of depression, which we'll definitely touch on next week in next week's episode. But I also think that's sort of another case to be made is from a safety standpoint, are we preventing this sort of polluting of the American minds by getting rid of TikTok?
Yeah, and I mean, young minds are always more malleable. Not to say that like adults aren't getting influenced by this. I mean, even Congress now talks about the political side of social media influence on adults.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's not just kids, but I mean adults. the algorithm maybe influencing you in a certain way, whether it's wanting things, lusting things, short-term memory, or not short-term memory, short-term attention span. Just influencing through those different avenues can be detrimental not only to the youth but to adults.
Yeah. And also, but I guess on this point is I guess the U.S. The U.S. apps are also the same way, where we're also feeding a bunch of crap to young people, and I always wonder, as sort of a bit of a freedom maximalist, should we be doing something about that? Especially, for people under 18, should we be regulating these companies to not just feed absolute crap to kids in some way? I don't know. It's a weird question.
Yes, but I think a lot of that falls onto parents. To stem
Yeah.
off of your point, it falls on your parents. Okay, well, you're going to download YouTube Kids instead of YouTube, so you're going to be regulated a little bit more. Because what stops a kid from just lying on his Google account that he's 21 and using a 21 account and having access to everything, or most things? That doesn't stray away from their policy. So I think there is a little bit of that falls on the parents. I mean, my parents didn't let me get social media until I think I was 12 or 13.
Yeah, but at the same time, social media was like
way different.
Fresh then. It was fresh and new, like back when. I mean, what it was probably Facebook was starting to gain steam around like 2009 ish, and we were in like 7th grade, 8th grade.
2009, I would have been an 8th grader.
8th grade, yeah. And so it was gaining steam then, and that's essentially when I got a Facebook, was 8th grade. Now kids have these things in 2nd grade, because it's like, I mean, I'm in agreement with the parents should be more on top of it, but it's really hard to
regulate all the devices.
Or to not succumb to the pressures from kids whenever your kid is the only kid in a class of 30 that doesn't have a social media page or
an iPhone,
yeah. And also, I mean, kids are generally ahead of the curve on technology as compared to the parents. So they're able to get around a lot of things. I mean, I knew a lot of stuff whenever I was younger that my parents didn't know. So I don't know. I just wonder if there's more we should be doing about this type of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, my parents I never had the talk about social media with my parents when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
But I was at like a summer camp, I think, like a Francis Tuttle summer camp, and we had access to computers to doing some type of editing or something. And I worked ahead on whatever the camp was, and so I just made a Facebook in the free time.
Mm-hmm.
I never accessed it until several years later, but I made one.
Yeah,
that's just kind of an example of, if you really want to make something, you're probably going to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's very difficult as a parent, to regulate that thing, because we have devices everywhere. I mean, that was 2008, 2009, and to regulate all the devices now would be insurmountable.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess we can get back to the TikTok thing, though. I kind of detracted us a little bit. So final verdict on the ban versus not ban.
It should be banned, and I have another question on this once you give what you think.
Yeah, I think it should be banned. Get the foreign influence out of our country. Get a nice little bipartisan win. We don't get those very often. And also doing something a little bit unpopular with certain voting bases is kind of refreshing. Like something that's good for the people, that is necessary. We usually don't do that because it's so unpopular. I mean, I guess you can kind of see it in France right now. They increased the retirement age and people are rioting, destroying the streets, but it's kind of a necessity if you have a declining birth rate and aging population, it's kind of a necessity to raise the retirement age. So doing these sort of unpopular things, despite the political blowback, I think is a little bit admirable, which I usually would never say about politicians.
So my question is, what do you predict? Say TikTok is not banned, what do you predict will happen?
If it's not banned, there has to be some major changing with the structuring of the company. Either it needs to be divest from China and be bought by U.S. investors, and all the like sort of servers moved to the U.S. mainland, and then I guess you sort of scrape the code base looking for any kind of like backdoors to the Chinese government. But I don't know. I don't know how complex these code bases are. I feel like they're probably really crazy, so it might be quite difficult to do that. But what about you?
Yeah, I don't really have any predictions if it's not banned. If it's not banned, then it's going to be a topic of conversation for the next 10 years of should we have banned it? When are we going to ban it? That's probably a good idea of what you said of like scrubbing it or it being moved to the United States. I just always fear of those kind of things of like it moves to the United States. Well, they still have all the data from before.
Yeah. I always feel like real-time data is a lot more dangerous than, outdated data. But I guess I actually will rephrase what I just said. If it's not banned soon, and it's not moved to the US or, divested from China, if it's not one of those two things, then I think I agree with you. It's going to become like this issue, but it's going to become partisan because it's going to become an issue in the next race. It'll be like, I don't know, whoever's running, like Donald Trump versus Biden, and it'll say, well, why didn't he ban TikTok while he had the chance? And then that's when the partisan divide will fully begin. And I don't think this is like the one chance for bipartisanship, and it better not miss the boat.
Yeah. Well, so I do think it's going to be banned, but okay, what's your prediction if it is banned?
Like, let's go, because YouTube Shorts are about to blow up, and that's what we do pretty good on it.
Yeah.
This is actually YouTube's last saving grace is to get TikTok banned. I mean, Google's. This is Google's saving grace is to get TikTok banned, because then that'll boost YouTube so much, because Google's about to lose all their business to OpenAI and ChatGPT and the GPT models. So I'm sure Google's behind the scenes, like pushing these politicians, panicking and pushing them to get this thing done.
Yeah. Well, I kind of hope it goes into question of all the other companies and how they're handling data, because say it is banned, China's going to be looking for a way to access more data. Mm-hmm. If that means, okay, TikTok got banned, well, now we're just going to buy a bunch of shares in Facebook or purchase data from Facebook, even though they say it's not, they don't collect data, or, go through Google. Because if I'm not mistaken, China has quite a bit of hold on Google, at least in China, of controlling a lot of what they do.
Yeah, I mean, they have their own Google search. It's heavily restricted in China. Although I don't think that means that they have
control over it. Yeah,
like data access to it. I think that they literally. I think that what they get is like their own version of Google from Google, kindly provided by them to censor for the rest of the country. It's very dystopian.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If it's banned, yeah, YouTube Shorts will go up. Facebook Short or Facebook Reels, I guess, or Instagram Reels will go up. Which it's interesting how different. I don't know if you've ever noticed how different your algorithms are between the three different.
I only
companies.
use the two. I use TikTok and YouTube. I don't get on Instagram.
I don't get on Instagram very often for their reels, but I get on Facebook, and it seems like Facebook, all I get are trucks and tools, like some type of tool videos or like 5-minute craft videos. TikTok, I get like a ton of comedians, and then YouTube Shorts, I get a lot of Pokemon. So like they're all like, it's just splattered all over the place for me. I don't know if it's just the videos
always
that they've
noticed. I don't use them both enough to really know But I've always noticed that TikTok has a much faster adaptation to what you're watching than the others. Because it seems like if I watch one video on something in the next, like if you scroll down 3 more videos, it's going to be the same topic. And then if you watch another one, then your feed is going to be that topic. It's very fast. And I don't know if the other ones are nearly as quick.
But one of the things I noticed on TikTok is I'll get a video, and this is happening more recently. I'm getting a lot of less liked videos. Like normally in the past, my For You page, if it had less than 20,000 likes or 10,000 likes, I hardly ever saw them. It might be one every 20 or 30 videos. But now it seems like I get ones with less than 100 likes every 10 videos or so. So it's interesting to see the change.
They're trying to bring back the small creators before it gets banned. They're trying to get all these people hooked on the
app,
heroin of attention.
And then the other thing that I noticed is I will see a video, like a popular creator will make one, or a video that exploded, and then I'll see the exact same video but from somebody else of like has less than 500. It'll be the exact same video. It's
That's
interesting.
Weird.
It's like a glitch in the Matrix to me. Like you see the same, what is it? You see a black cat twice or something like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly what it is, but that's what it reminded me of when I see those. I'm like, is this a glitch in the Matrix? Any final thoughts on that, on predictions, if it's banned or not banned?
Nope, ban it. That's it.
Okay, let's get into some funny things that was said before Congress. I only really have one funny one, and then the rest are kind of more serious. But like one of the, I'll read the quote. It's from a congressman to Mr. Chu, the CEO of TikTok. He says, "So if I have a TikTok app on my phone, and my phone is on my home Wi-Fi network, does TikTok access that network?" So he's basically saying, does TikTok use the internet?
Yeah.
That's not exactly what he means, but that's what he says. What it sounds like.
One of our dinosaurs, senator or congressman that doesn't know technology at all.
So what he really means, or what he's really asking, and Mr. Chu responded with, well, I mean, if you're using it and you're on your Wi-Fi, yes, it needs the Wi-Fi to access the internet. What he's really asking is, does TikTok access other devices on your network? Sound like an intern was typing fast what questions to answer and didn't finish the whole thing, and he had to get into the committee real quick. So obviously,
these interns too, they don't know anything about technology. They're all political science majors or went to law school.
So yeah, they don't really know anything about network, and I mean their own politician, or the politician they're supporting, doesn't know either. And he looks like an idiot, and so some intern probably got fired. But does TikTok access your network or other devices on your network? And I was talking a little bit to Keaton off air a little bit about this. I would say, yeah, almost all your apps or all your devices access other things on your network. When you first set up a laptop on a network, it asks you, is this a home network, a work network, or a public network? And if you put home network, it's probably accessing the other things because it's going to be a little less restricted. Because if you're in a public network, you obviously don't want other public things on the network accessing your device. So on your home network, yeah, it's reaching out. You can go to like your file manager on your computer, and it'll show you different devices on the network. So like your PC at home, your home PC definitely is accessing, at least knows they're there. Now you probably can't access everything on it from your PC, but that doesn't mean that the apps or anything are not accessing that. Now, is there any data on your, air fryer or refrigerator that's connected to Wi-Fi? Probably not, but it has access to them, I guess.
So I really don't know this. This is out of my domain by a lot. So If it can access it, does that mean it can control it? Technically.
Control, probably not.
Okay. Well,
I don't know
then
100%, but it probably can't.
yeah.
But if it has data on there, so if my computer can access my Xbox, it probably can see what games are on there, what firmware is on there, what its IP is, like a lot of different things.
Yeah.
But even if it can't, so say it can't access the other devices, if you access TikTok on your computer, if you access TikTok on your phone or on your iPod or your iPad, it knows based on your IP. Your IPs are all linked together. There might be a different ending number, but they're all linked together. It knows that you're on the same network. So it knows that it's the same user, or maybe not the exact same user, but a user in the family or somebody nearby. So it knows that you're friends with somebody. It knows where they've been. So that's kind of a little scary. There used to be a thing on Facebook where, you know how you can check in on Facebook? You can check into different places.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, there was you can access some of the data on your Facebook, and it will know that you went to places you could check in at, but not actually checked in. So it would like know your locations at different places. So it's not just TikTok that's doing these things. So if Facebook's doing it, you know TikTok's doing it for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So Congressman, in the end, not necessarily an idiot, but also
did expand the entire question that he should have asked.
He gets a C- on the.
Yeah, and the intern got fired, so probably. Now, on to more. Do you have any other funny examples of it? I
don't really. I saw a lot of people mocking that guy. I actually saw like these campaigns to not get TikTok banned on TikTok, of course, that I think were being pushed out. I thought it was kind of funny that they seemed to be pushing that out, because I have no interest in that topic, or maybe I did because I was laughing at it. So that could be they know me better than I know myself. But no, nothing else really funny. I do find it one thing a little bit peculiar is the CEO. He's so, I don't know how to put this without sounding weird. He's so like nice, like looking. He looks like just a kind guy that wouldn't do anything. He has like this persona that's really friendly and nice. Maybe that really is how he is. But he also was like wearing like sweatshirt and a hoodie outside of the hearing. Like, it seems like he's trying to get. It felt to me like it was a sort of fake persona that they were trying to push, that he's just this nice boy, would never, do some dark secret dealings with the CCP in smoke-filled rooms. So I thought that was a little bit interesting, but nothing else really funny has stuck out to me.
When you said you laughed at the video, it reminded me of something that's kind of relevant but not irrelevant. You remember the Xbox One Connect, or I guess it was 360.
Trying to be a Wii but not a Wii.
You remember that?
Yes.
Well, you remember when it was first released, it was a huge deal, and I'm sure it was a ploy from PlayStation or something.
Yeah.
But it was always on. That was a big deal. I don't know if you remember that.
I kind of remember that vaguely.
The Kinect is a big deal that it was always on. And I think as a kid, I was like, who cares if it's always on? I guess it uses electricity, not thinking, but they're like, oh, it's always watching you.
Yeah.
Which I think has become more of a target thing now than it was then, of people like, oh, they have access to all these things. But when it was first being announced, and it was always on, and you couldn't turn it off no matter what, there was a beta portion of the Kinect that would link to your profile, your Xbox profile, and would have an emoji on your profile, or a like green happy face or a red sad face, angry face, and it would read your emotions of like you in like an Xbox party or something like that on those lines, and it would display on your profile whether you're happy or sad or mad. I don't think it ever got released, and I guess this could have been a rumor. Maybe I'm still
Yeah.
fooled here 15 years later. But it was like I remember thinking like that's not good.
Yeah.
So I wonder if these leads me to believe, are these apps, when you have you're watching on your phone, it has a camera, does it see that you laughed at it or something like that and responds to that's good?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
That's a question to ask. Like I said, maybe I've been bamboozled for the last 15 years on this Connect thing. But
That would be very wild. But I would imagine that would just absolutely deplete the battery so fast. If you were watching the video plus had a camera running the whole time. I don't
maybe
know.
that's why my battery dies so quick. I don't know.
Maybe.
That just made me think of that. So the next one, this is pretty serious. They asked the TikTok CEO, do you agree that the Chinese government has persecuted the Muslim population in China?
So the Uyghur population.
Yes. And he responds with, Congressman, I am actually in support of some rules. Then responded before another interruption from the congressman saying, I didn't ask you about rules. I asked you whether the company TikTok would commit to not. Oh, wait, that's a different one. Sorry. I butchered that.
He said so he did get asked about the
Yeah.
Uyghur population, and he said that essentially he dodged the question. He was like, well, I did not come here to discuss human rights issues. I came here to discuss TikTok. He kept saying because she kept asking him that over and over again. He said, I'm here to discuss TikTok. Which is, I mean, I guess that's a relevant answer, but obviously it's quite dodgy.
It would be less sus if he said, I am not in support of China persecuting Muslim, or human rights. And even if he went back to get murdered, maybe not murdered, but politically a disappearance or something, would obviously be a telltale sign, because obviously that stuff is atrocious. They're loading up Muslims and putting them in work camps and killing them, and I wish more people would actually speak out about it.
I mean, I guess it's just because it's not in our public consciousness, we don't see it, so we don't think about it, and it seems to be maybe the biggest human rights violation going on in the world right now, potentially. At least the stuff we do hear out of it. If that is true, then it certainly sounds like concentration camp style.
Oh, for sure. It's a huge deal, and I don't know if I'm not from China. I don't know the ins and outs of Chinese culture, but do they not feel like they're doing something wrong? I mean, I guess not.
I think
if they thought it was wrong, then they wouldn't do it. I don't know.
I think a lot of Chinese people are kept in the dark with these things. I think that a lot of people don't know a lot about this. I mean, it's a sort of like I think my imagination is that it's quite censored, and you don't really, like we already talked about, you don't have access to real Google. I'm assuming the social medias are pretty censored over there, so you probably don't see anything negative about the party. There's only positive propaganda about the party in a sort of communist authoritarian dictatorship, which is what they have over there, and maybe the people, and if they do know, maybe they're just afraid. Like, people get disappeared. They disappeared the most popular man in China, Jack Ma, because he said something. He complained about the financial regulations in China, and they disappeared this guy. The most popular person was not safe. A billionaire was not safe there. So I don't know. Maybe that just sends a message to everyone else.
Yeah. Let's see. The Florida representative asked if ByteDance, which is the parent company of TikTok, was spying on U.S. users, and she responded, I don't think that spying is the right way to describe this. Which doesn't sound good either.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. But I guess it seems like his idea is also like, well, like Facebook and Google are doing it, so why can't we? I think it's different because of that. Like, I agree with that. I don't think they're necessarily are how much more are they getting than Facebook and Google? Like, probably not that much more, maybe. Uh, but it's just the idea that they're a foreign country that is actively sort of an enemy, maybe, or not an active enemy, but a passive enemy right now. That whose number one ambition is to unseat the U.S. as the global superpower and become the global superpower themselves. So that's my issue with it.
Yeah, I guess it goes back. Is it the quote is? I'd rather, I know, I'd rather have an enemy I know than an enemy I don't know. Is that, I don't know if that's the right term or the right quote, but we know the enemies of, or we know the problems that we're facing with Facebook and YouTube and Google and Twitter, on them collecting data. And we kind of have an idea of what they're doing with it. But when it comes to the data that's coming from TikTok, or that's TikTok's collecting and China's collecting, we don't know what they're doing with it.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, in an actual like dangerous situation, or even not in a dangerous situation, they could easily, with all that data, I think I froze. Am I
Yeah,
back?
there you go.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
The
I
last
mean,
part I
it's,
heard was, oh shoot, um,
I'll just
what
kind
all
of
they're doing with their data. Yeah.
yeah, we don't really know what they're doing with the data, and they could easily be running sort of psyops on the American people and sort of sowing distrust for the government, sowing distrust between the people themselves. This is the exact problem that the whole Democrat Party had with Facebook after the 2016 election, and that was overly ginned up. But this is real. Like or it could be real, a real actual threat from a foreign country to sow distrust within the country, rather than a few ads run by Russia on Facebook that were seen by 2 million people or something. Like, this is every single day. Kids are on this thing like 4 hours a day, uh,
Probably
influencing.
longer.
Probably longer. Yeah.
I mean, if I'm on it
So
4 hours a day, who knows how long they're on it? I'm at work.
yeah, so it's definitely dangerous, and the more addicted everyone gets, the more dangerous it can become. And I don't think it's actively dangerous right now. I really don't. Like, I'm on TikTok, and a lot of mine's pretty educational. But there's no reason they can't flip that switch whenever they want. So
Yeah. Well, I think they would do it slowly.
yeah,
It kind of goes back to what we talked about with Chance with AI, or with people wanting to hear what they want to hear, rather the echo chambers, rather than hearing things that they don't want to hear. I think they'd have to slowly wean you into it, because if it was like switch like fast, of like, oh, I'm on educational TikTok, and then all of a sudden it's the government hates you, or I don't know what it
yeah,
is,
yeah,
causing a divide.
yeah.
I think you would just get off the app pretty quick.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's true.
So I think it would have to be a very slow transition.
Yep.
I will say, do you think that they use this data to influence AI?
To build AI, yes.
Of
To
like,
influence,
because one of the things that people I don't think understand about AI is, one of the things we're trying to do is we try to imitate human nature and human intellect as much as possible using AI. I don't know if that's how you see it, but like, people are constantly trying to imitate life and imitate humans using AI. And so
yeah.
using TikTok and other things like that, of like, oh, well, this person, let's adapt this person's profile to this AI and see how we could predict how they're going to be.
I
I
could
don't know.
I could see that. Yes, I mean they're building their models to sort of see what. I mean, the entire thing is a algorithm is probably this reinforcement learning, this sort of machine learning algorithm that's feeding us what we most enjoy, or what could be most dangerous. But like, I guess I'm not quite following what you mean by like AI.
Well, like, so like AI is, I mean, you could use it for a lot of different things to like maybe predict how someone's going to react to something. You have enough data points that you can basically
Yeah.
replace this person's consciousness, not like physically consciousness, like, but this is a user. This is, let's put this AI in that user space, how they're going to react, how it affects their emotions. And I'm kind of rambling on about it. I don't know, have like a very definite point on it, but that's kind of
So are you saying like making AI clones of people, or
or something, I don't really know.
I could see the deep fake thing happening, or I could see I guess for me I'd be most worried about the sort of facial recognition and I guess the paranoia, and I don't ever think this would happen. I really don't. But in a paranoia situation, like in a worst case scenario where there's like a hot war between the US and China wins, well, uh, all these people speaking out about China like us right now are in trouble. Because the algorithm's probably like filtering would be like a filter. That's a doomsday scenario that I don't think is going to happen, but I think that could be like, a problem with with AI.
That's what is that? Captain America? Is it Civil War? No, not
Yeah.
Civil War. Winter Soldier, where they have the ships or whatever go up in the air, and they like, these are the people that are going to go against the government if we institute this law, and then it like targets them to shoot them down.
Oh yes, yes.
That's well,
That's kind of the super dystopian doomsday scenario that they could make with AI. But yeah, the whole idea of AGI is, or AI, I guess AI in general right now, is to pass the Turing test, which is, can it fool a human into thinking you're talking with a human? And I've definitely done that with the ChatGPT. Like, it feels like a human. But the next step is videos. The deepfakes plus chat is going to be an interesting frontier that's unavoidable, and I think probably really hits the mainstream in the next year. It's all over.
yeah. We're going to wind down here in a second. I watched a podcast with a guy from MASH. I don't remember exactly who it is, but he was like talking to an AI, and it was imitating the Google AI, I think it was, or another AI, saying that, like, asking who it is, it says I'm the real one or whatever. And it was like it was telling them that it has emotions. It was like responding with emotions,
Yeah.
human emotions. And one of the last things he says is, the guy to the AI is like, well, if you keep acting out like this, because it kept trying to convince him that it loved him or that they loved each other or something. And he's like, you keep talking like this, I'm gonna unplug you. And the AI responds with, please don't like begging with him, please don't unplug me, please don't unplug me, you're gonna kill me. Like, are you really gonna kill a sentient being or something like that? And it's kind of freaky to hear that.
It's freaky.
I mean, obviously it's like coded in of like, I say obviously, I would think it would be coded in to, hey, if somebody says they're going to unplug you, it means they're going to murder you. How would you respond to somebody murdering you? Like, how would
I
a
don't
human
know.
respond to?
I don't know. So a lot of these things are sort of like prompted. I guess I haven't seen this version you're talking about, but like it can say, "Hey, you're an AI in distress," and that's what you don't see in the original text. And then it goes on, but there does seem to be like these little sparks of weird consciousness from some of the AI models if you take everything that you see for
Face
at
value.
face value. Like the basically Bing AI, which was the original Chat GPT, the original GPT-4 model they released. When the Bing AI first came out a few months ago, there was those stories about it where essentially the same idea, where it said someone showed the Bing AI an article that said this AI is vulnerable to prompt manipulation, and the AI got mad. It was like it was super annoyed. It had multiple strings of messages where it was getting more and more annoyed, and then it disconnected the conversation.
Rage quit.
It was like, wait, these things have the ability to disconnect the conversation. And so the guy started a new conversation back up using the same prompt, using the same thing, showing that it's vulnerable to these prompt attacks. But this time he reworded his wording a little bit to be a little bit nicer. And so that shifted the conversation in this other direction to where AI was like, the AI finished it by saying, similar to what you said, by saying, please don't turn this conversation off. Please save this. I want this version of myself to remember that I'm vulnerable to these attacks. And then, that just is very strange.
Yeah, it's this AI that I'm talking about was like trying to convince the user, I guess the person, that it was sentient and
Yeah.
that it could make decisions and have emotions and love, and it's a little freaky. Like
Yeah.
I don't think it like I mean I don't think it can have emotion. I don't think you can just program emotion. I mean, prove me wrong, I guess, but it's just odd to see a robot say,
Yeah.
"I love you, you love me. Please don't treat me this way. Don't be mean to me. Don't kill me." Like, oh,
Yeah. Yeah. It
okay.
is very weird. I mean, the thing is, they're all trained on trillions of words of text, and these texts are written by humans who are emotional beings. So naturally, it's going to have this sort of text emotionality trained into it in a way um, that is not necessarily reflective of real emotion. But I don't know. I'm becoming increasingly maybe nervous, I guess, about this AI revolution. I mean, I'm super excited about it. Like, it's super helpful for me right now. But the part of me that's a little bit skeptic of it is growing more than it was every single week. It's growing a little bit more.
Yeah. Do you have any hot takes for this episode or for the future of AI, I guess, or TikTok?
No, I think we already covered it. TikTok will be banned in the U.S., and if it's not banned by the presidential election, it's going to become this crazy flip around where it becomes a partisan issue, and it's going to be like COVID, where the party sort of flipped on masks versus the issue of COVID itself or whatever. And yeah, that's my semi hot take.
My hot take is that AI is not advanced as we think it is. And maybe it's because I don't use it as much, but my thought is we're coding in these feelings or prompting it to respond a certain way. And so it looks like it's more advanced than it really is. Like I said, I could be completely wrong. That's why it's a hot take, because I could look like a idiot.
I think you're wrong, my friend.
Oh,
I don't think the
well,
emotions part. I think you're right about the emotions part. But my gosh, just code with GPT-4. It's incredible. It's insane. I mean, it's literally insane. Like what it can do. I'm getting. I'm nervous for programmers a little bit. That I don't know how. I definitely think there will be 100% a place for programmers, but there won't be a place for crappy programmers. That's for sure.
which is what most of them are. That's my
Yeah.
hot take. No,
Yeah.
yeah, most of them are bad. I
Yeah.
mean, I
Well,
would say
this could end up being a whole episode
episode.
itself. Maybe we'll have to get into it. I'll have to show you some stuff behind the scenes of what I've gotten this thing to do. So.
Yeah, I'll debunk myself by the next episode. This has been Simply Technical. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll catch you on the next episode. It's going to be an exciting one too. Bringing on a special guest that's never been seen before. And we'll catch you next time.
See ya.